Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Built to Scale. We're going to have a live conversation from our leadership team here at Iris. And we are going to be having these every month, so you can look for these series coming up. This series is for business owners and operators who are building real companies, not just about growth. This is about how you're going to try and sustain it. So each month we step back from tactics and talk candidly about what actually holds businesses together as they grow, where plans break, where pressure shows up, and exactly how strategy, operations, and marketing work together and you get growth that lasts. So today we're road mapping 2026. We're planning growth without the burnout. So hopefully you're excited to listen in.
Yeah. And in typical Irish fashion, I love it. We got a baby on the hip. This is how we show up sometimes. So in case you didn't know a little bit about Iris Partnering, we're a consulting company and we're a full team of moms and we work alongside our children every single day. So this is a little glimpse in the life. For today's episode, what we're really talking about is how every January business owners will set growth goals. And they have the best intentions. I like to always call entrepreneurs visionaries. They just have this beautiful vision of what the year is going to bring. But most of those plans, at least in our conversations, don't fail because the goal was wrong. They fail because execution couldn't support it. And it wasn't strategized, right? We set a vision and we didn't really have steps to achieve it. So really what we want to look at and talk about today is what we see when those plans are falling through or fizzling out is people, process, capacity not lining up. Every single business is a little bit different. So the reason those plans fizzle out are going to vary from business to business, but we're going to chat right here live on some of the situations we've seen. If a scenario was brought to us, some of the advice we'd give. And when we step into a business, what are some of the first steps we take? So if you're planning for 2026, you want some perspective you can apply to take the vision, make it last through the year, you're in the right room. So intentionally starting high level, I think what we really want to talk about is why. Why don't most of these growth plans survive the execution? So Destiny, you and I have been on a lot of calls lately where we're talking about this. I mean, a lot, right?
A lot
of visions. I mean, it's cool to hear. It's cool to hear what business owners are trying to do this year, what goals they're setting for themselves, and
how big they are.
They're big. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when we're sitting in a consultation, it's interesting because normally they're like, here's where I want to be by the end of the year. But we're like, great, how are we going to do it? Right. Cool. And they're like, I don't know. Isn't that for you guys to figure out? Yes and no. Right. So I'm curious to start from a marketing lens because, like, honestly, the ebbs and flows when we're working in operations and marketing, January is a hot marketing month. Like, we are seeing so many business owners like, if I'm going to achieve this goal, I'm going to push some marketing out and that's going to be the answer to everything. And with our two little marketing experts here, Steph and Jen, I'm curious about how you guys would start coming into a fresh year and knowing what the business owner's goals are. Like, what are some of the first steps you would hope to see before you even jump into a business?
Yeah, I think that the big picture is knowing what the end goal is, but then also breaking it down into little bite-sized pieces so they're not overwhelming or they're not something that can't be achieved or you fall behind. A lot of times we see January, it was really hot and heavy. We're coming off the holidays and there is so much that people are putting out. By January, they're feeling run down. They can't sustain that amount. So it's focusing on what can I do every single month to be consistent.
Yeah. And Jen, there's like how many conversations lately around paid ads, right? It's been a lot.
Yeah.
So many.
Go ahead, Jen.
I feel like if the growth, everything it's planned in before we start the year. And a lot of plans feel very solid in January. But as the year starts, everything starts shifting. And it's not bad to shift. It's just you have to optimize and apply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's ongoing. It's like, I feel like the name of the game that we use in almost a daily basis is consistency, you know, and I think that's even one of the toughest things we experience in our job is the owners we work with, the partners that we meet, they have such shifting and great grand vision ideas, and it's often a pivot as opposed to how can we maintain this consistently and also make this other idea true at the same time, right? So from a marketing lens, I know the first things we audit when somebody comes to us, whether it's for organic or paids, and that is, what are you doing now? And are you doing it consistently? There's a lot of businesses out there that have peaks and shifts throughout the entire year of what's busy season, but then there are some that are highly predictable, like any type of industry or company that is going to be doing exterior work or renovation work, right? We can almost estimate exactly when their peak season is. And 9 times out of 10, I'd say those business owners come to us ready to throw some money into paid ads starting in March and then say in October, okay, we're all done, right? We're not going to do this anymore. And ultimately what we're trying to show is that without an organic behind it, a strategy behind it, a consistent brand positioning, this isn't going to live in a way that will continually succeed for you. And we can say the same on the operation side. And I know that's really where me and Destiny root in a little bit further. Destiny?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're taking those big goals. I mean, and it's like, okay, well, by the end of this year, I'm expecting, just obviously XYZ. So I would say that on our end, from that operation standpoint, is us taking that big goal and then shifting backwards. So, okay, what do we have to hit in order of a matrix to get to that point by now? And then same thing of like, okay, how do we break that down another level? How do we put this into a monthly breakdown on top of that? Now we have that monthly breakdown. Now let's put this into a weekly breakdown. What metrics are we going to hit every week so that we can get there for your ultimate goal? And it doesn't have to be a year-end goal either, which is great. It can be that quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, or just something specific that, we can hit. So that doesn't matter.
Yeah. And actually, probably what I would typically recommend, right? Because a lot of when we're first starting to talk with business owners at the beginning of the year, they're talking to us about these visions. It's normally based on a feeling and not a metric, right? And this can be marketing or operations based. I feel like I post a lot, or I feel like it would be achievable to double my revenue by the end of the year. And then I will feel like I've got a real and true and successful business, right? But some of the things that we like to sit down and really parse out is how everything in the business is speaking together, right? So instead of, I feel like this is a possibility, well, what's the historical data behind it? Or how are we going to make it happen? Because if it doesn't happen at the end of the year, you're going to feel like I didn't achieve it, right? And when Destiny is talking about reverse engineering, essentially, right? If I want to achieve Z by the end of the year or by the end of quarter 1, then I need to achieve Y by the end of February. And by the end of January, I need to achieve X. And interestingly enough, while we have team members that generally focus in on marketing or operations at Iris, I think we're all really fluid in how we talk to each other about how we approach clients, no matter if it's marketing or ops based, because normally what we're going to do is go sit down with a Gantt chart, and whether it's a marketing campaign or an operations strategy, we're going to put a timeline behind it from a Gantt chart perspective, and then we're going to break it down into a grid or a checklist perspective by month, by week, by day, in order to achieve that end result. At bare minimum, if you have to adapt when the goal is achieved because of a giant snowstorm that crosses the entire country, right? Then you can still look back and say, I succeeded because I've gotten all these things done, right? I know the progress I've done. It's not based on a feeling. It's based on true and real metrics and footsteps being taken in the right direction.
I think also in that same note is being able to flux and adapt to those changes, because life does happen. And most business owners are also part of a family, or they have other things going on, and they can't always control those things. So it's having kind of like, I wouldn't say a backup plan, but a secondary flow of how things should pan out.
What a perfect segue into expectations and how we set realistic expectations, right? Because we've got the vision, we've got steps on how we're going to get from vision to the end result, right? But a lot of what we see, and normally when we first talk with business owners, they're somewhere in between the step that we just talked about, right? Like they either just envisioned it, or they're like, I've got a light plan that I think will help me achieve it, and great, we're taking steps forward. But realistic goals and capacity is one of the first. I mean, that's a daily talking point between the 4 people looking at on the screen right now. And the capacity is not just, okay, if I've got a team member that works for me 20 hours a week and they're clocking in 18, so I've got 2 hours of capacity remaining. There's also a level of emotional, personal, and mental capacity there, right? So we also do a system here at Iris where we red, yellow, green light them. And Destiny actually meets with our team weekly. Destiny, tell me a little bit about what those meetings look and feel like, and how it helps you consider what our capacity is across the company.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing is these weekly check-ins with the team. They're not just, kind of like, I don't want them to ever feel like we're micromanaging them or anything like that. It's really just to get that capacity check and to just make sure like, hey, how are things going this week? How are your tasks handled? How is everything feeling? We talk about even just like we talk about the client tasks, and then we also kind of give that human connection as well. Like, hey, how's life? Like, how are you feeling? I know you got, a big thing this weekend with the kids. Do you feel like you have enough time to prepare? Or, real life situations that we have, and especially being a team of moms, and checking in with our team and making sure that we have all of that. So that's our biggest, forefront is, okay, how are you feeling? Let's start here. And then we go through our weekly tasks. We go through, okay, do you have this project? How is this client doing? How are the check-ins going? It's not, a super long meeting or anything like that. It's really just getting that pulse check and seeing, okay, how are you feeling? Hey, we have this new project coming on. Do you feel comfortable taking it? How are your hours sitting? So it's not just getting them to, okay, are your tasks on time? Are you doing all of this properly? It's also getting that gauge of, we have future pipeline projects coming, and we have other things that are in the works as well. Do you have the capacity to take this on?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it's keeping a pulse not only on your team, but for yourself as well, right? So I mean, the entire country in some way, shape, or form got hit by a snowstorm this week, right? Or, I mean, I can't tell you the number of calls I've had about email issues this week. Technology is not on business founders' side this week, right? So, and that derails, and it's we have to expect it because it's going to come up every single day. In fact, I was talking to somebody about just like the ebbs and flows of being a business owner, and like, it's exhausting. It's mentally taxing some days where you're just like, I don't know that I can take another hit, and instead of viewing it as another hit, being able to shift the perspective that this is the ebb and flow of business. And if you don't expect that ebb and flow, then you're not being realistic with yourself, right? So the realistic goal setting has to look at your personal capacity, your mental capacity, as well as your how many hours you have to put into the business. That's actual capacity, right? So there's a lot of business owners we talk to that they're like, yes, I work 80 hours in my business and I know I can take on more. And when I have you doing this, that means I'm going to also focus on it with you. And it's like, that's not really the ultimate goal here, right? Because we need to delegate and shift away from what's taking to your capacity, because there's only one person ever, as much as I love Stephanie, Jennifer, and Destiny. Right now, there's only one person that can say, here's where I want the business to go. That's always going to lay on the shoulders of a founder or the business owner, right? And being able to distill that information down to the team so they know what the vision is and they know what their responsibility is to help you achieve that. So looking at your real capacity and looking at how you're going to achieve it, that has to be something that can be verbalized overall. Stephanie, I know on a completely different level, you see this a lot in organic marketing, because organic marketing, I feel like all we hear is like, I just don't want to do it. Like that's the number one thing. And so when we start pushing them, they push back, right? And so I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah. So with organic marketing, it's something that has to be consistent. It has to happen on a regular basis. It doesn't have to happen every day. I think that's what people kind of get wrong, is as long as you are posting the same amount of time weekly or monthly, depending on the business, that's really what the big A word, the algorithm, looks at. And finding out what does work for each individual business owner or founder. It could be that posting twice a week and it not being too in-depth, simple graphics posts that lead back to your other marketing avenues, your websites, your email marketing is a huge one. We want everyone to own their own client lists or potential client lists, and it's not going to happen on social media. So getting people back to those things that you quote own, and really deciding what works best for you, and then kind of building upon that. And then that would lead into that consistency can build into paid marketing. You can't have that paid marketing aspect without the organic consistency. Agree, Jen?
Completely agree. I think people often say paid marketing can stand on itself. But I am a firm believer that organic marketing and paid marketing, they are a married couple, and they will be together for the rest of their lives. Why? Because yes, on paid marketing, you have a budget, you're pushing it out there. But at the same time, there is no Let's say I'm a regular person and I go and I see an ad of a flooring company. I see an ad of a flooring company, and then the first thing a person does, 90% of the time, it's go to their social media. They go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and they start searching for that company. And if they see you don't post since January 2024, that business is lost. It doesn't matter how good your ad was, how much money you put into it. Your lead, it's completely gone.
Yeah, I mean, the first question I would wonder is like, is this business open? You know, if it's not somebody that's been referred to me and I know that they haven't worked on something for a friend or an acquaintance in the past X amount of time, I'm going to be like, how did you find this place? And are they even still open? Because I ain't seen anything on their website or their social media, you know? So there's a lot of companies out there that live on like Google Business or other referral review platforms, Yelp, but they're not in existence anymore for one reason or another. So yeah, for sure. Destiny, I feel like I interrupted you earlier and you were going to talk about something. Did I do that?
Oh, no. I mean, we kind of were covering that. It's just basically just hitting like, you know, everything in that order and just making sure that everybody's on that same page. And then we come in to help you with that process.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the business owners, like just to like recap conceptually of like what we've been discussing so far, a lot of people come to us with a vision. They don't really know how or where or what or who is going to make that vision come into reality besides saying, I'll just work harder and I'm going to make it happen. Right. And then when we hear that, the things that we talk to them about are going to be your bandwidth, first and foremost. I would say the supporting factors of your bandwidth is what's the decision flow? What processes do you have in place, right? If any. And if the answer might be no, I don't have any of that in place. That's okay with us. There's a lot of times when people come to us and we're talking to them that we may be their first partner in their company ever. They've had a business for 7 years completely by themselves, right? And so we're the first step and they kind of need our help figuring out, well, what does that look like, you know? We help create the systems, but it's an easy example for me to pull because I've got the ladies here right in front of me and I know how we do things at Iris, but if I didn't meet with the three of you every single week and talk about what happened the past 5 days, which is normally a lot of things that happened, you know, and if I didn't hear about what have you worked on or what haven't you had time, what's your hurdle, right? For us to all sit down and mull over together. If I haven't heard that there's a break in some system that we have, we would have no way of moving from point A to point B. And normally we mull over some of the things that we're seeing or that we're feeling or experiencing on the professional level. We talk about as a team, make a group decision of how we're going to handle that. And then each has their own area of expertise that they know it impacts what they have to do next, right? Like Destiny over the people side, making sure that all of the information we talked about in the management meeting and how we are functioning as a business gets distilled down to the team, really on a need to know basis, right? In a way that doesn't overwhelm them. Is there anything on operationally? Is it like a process we currently have that needs adapted? Is it our outreach? Is it how we're taking in interest? And then Jennifer on the side of SEO and website, making sure that how we speak, literally how we speak in this webinar, in a meeting with somebody that's interested in partnering with Iris, how we speak as a team, how we speak on social media, all of it's aligned to the website because that's the first place people see us. And then Stephanie making sure that's the number one place most people talk and hear to us first is what we're putting out on social media, right? Just like Jen said, I'm referred to Iris and I need to go see if this is a potential fit for me. Probably going to go check us out on Facebook, right? Or LinkedIn or YouTube or this webinar. And if we're not speaking and talking and offering all consistently because we're not all on the same page of where our goal is, then we're honestly going to come across as an invalid company, right? Like who would trust us if we can't get it right in our own four walls, so to speak?
Yeah, so I think really it's that word that you just said. It's trust, and it's trust within the team so that our potential clients and current clients can trust us. If we don't have the trust in each other, then everything is going to break down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really just taking and making sure like you're steady, you're supported, and it's repeatable. Just to make sure that you can keep doing it.
Yeah. And with that said, like there's one other area of capacity that I think is important enough to talk about. If no matter who on your team, whether they're an individual contributor or a manager, if you are overwhelming them so much with the tasks that need done because you're just dumping it along the way and hoping it gets caught, right? The opportunity for the additional value that they can add, right? And this is another reason we talk about capacity in multiple different ways, right? Because hopefully, fingers crossed, the goal is that if you're growing your team because the people that are on your team are better than you in some way, shape, or form in the area or the function that they're experts in, right? So I hope that I'm not giving so much responsibility to Stephanie trying to keep up with our emails and our socials and additional webinars, right? That she can't also tap into the creative side of her brain that says, I see an opportunity and I want to talk to Krista about it, right? Similar for our clients. It's more than just tasking. And I'm going to say that beyond Iris clients, no matter if you have a W-2 employee, if you have a 1099 employee, there's more to offer than checking boxes and completing tasks. They very likely want to be a part of achieving the X result for you at the end of the year, as long as you don't take up so much brain space from them because all they're doing is checking boxes every single day. It's a tough balance here, right? I feel like.
Yeah, it's a tough balance, but I feel like it's achievable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, this is not like a pitch. We're not over here saying everybody needs a partner in their business to achieve their goals. Like, no, that's not the goal here. So I think the next curious question naturally that most people would have for us is, well, how do I know if I'm ready, right? Or what signals to me if I need more people or I need a different process, and how do I choose which I need to focus on to achieve my end year goal?
I can jump in and talk about a marketing perspective on goal setting realistic goals. Let's say on the paid marketing tends to feel safer when we're planning because it's controllable. So you have to model your spend, your leads, and your growth on a spreadsheet. But paid only works as well as the system around it. So if the offer isn't clear, if the website or landing page experience can convert, if follow-up is slow, or if decisions take too long to be made, a lot of the decisions in this small business, the founder has to make them, or the founder makes himself or herself make those decisions. And like Krista mentioned, if you're growing your team and you're getting more people to work with you, it's because they're experts on their topic. So you need to lean more and have more trust in them to make the right decisions for you, because that is how your business will grow. And so it just accelerates the friction when you don't give your teams like the freedom to make decisions in the area that they're professional of. So before committing to a paid growth goal or any kind of goal, we always ask whether the business is actually ready to receive what it's about to generate. So it's an effort, team effort. It's not just a founder effort, a CEO effort. So you have to build a team that you trust.
Yeah. And I think you need to know your team. Coming off that, like, there's a lot of companies, whether they're consulting companies or freelancers or contractors or people that you're going to hire, right? That people can say, anything nowadays. Unfortunately, AI makes it really easy to know language, even if you don't have experience in it, right? So once a person starts with your team and really knowing where their opportunities are and where their strengths are and where the value add is to your business in more ways than just how they're assisting you and the reasons they were hired, right? So I think we try really hard to be as professionally transparent as possible with companies we meet with, but paid marketing, and I mean, I can't tell you the number of consultations I've sat in with Jen around paid marketing, and the person on the other end of the screen saying to us, well, I want to know how many leads I'm going to get for this amount of dollars that I put into it. Or I want to know the exact percentage ROI we target to know you are doing a good job and this is successful. The answer is nuanced, you know, there isn't an answer for that. There are triggers we can look for to say this was successful and this is not successful. But, you know, one thing I can appreciate a lot about Jen, especially around the paid marketing side, is she's not going to throw your dollars at something unless she can say with 100% certainty it's going to do something good for you, you know. And there are so many pieces that have to integrate around paid marketing for it to be set up to succeed. And to Jen's point, it has to work with other people. Do you already have a marketing person in your business that is supposed to be covering organic marketing? And I'm not saying supposed to because I'm criticizing them. Let's look at what they're actually doing for organic marketing and if what they're doing is going to support the paid marketing, right? And like, Jen, I think you said earlier that paid and organic, you refer to them as being married. And it's interesting because like, it's kind of how I view you and Stephanie on our team. Like we can't make any decisions with Jen without Stephanie, and we can't make Stephanie decisions without Jen. You know, they have to work together.
Completely true. And to that said, my always suggestion is to any founder or CEO, get to know your team and build that trust with them, because you will pinpoint what are their strengths, what you can actually give to them with your eyes closed, and you will know, okay, this is going to work because I have Destiny working on it. I have Stephanie working on it. So I know their strengths and this is going to work. And this is going to make my budget grow or my goal achieve. So yeah, it's a trust going back and forward with your teammates.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll jump in a little bit too on that is, you know, a lot of times, you know, with certain strengths in individuals, you know that, okay, if I give, you know, somebody a task, I know that it will take them 1 hour or something to that effect. Whereas if giving the task to somebody else, okay, it might take a little bit more back and forth and it might take them 2 hours. So it's just knowing that capability of like, how long will this take? I know, like in each process as learning people, it is that way. Okay, I know for a fact certain VAs they really love that creative aspect and it's going to take them a little bit longer because they want to make sure the colors are right and things like that. I don't have that creative aspect, but for me, here we go, mom's side. The aspect of tasks is Krista knows like, okay, she gives me a task and she's like, okay, well, you can double check it. Like take a little bit more time to look at it because we know I work fast. So there are certain things that you can always go in reference of that, especially, you know, kind of tapping back into that one-on-one thing that I do with everybody is if you know where they're at each week, you know how long it's taking them. So you will have people that can do things so much faster than somebody else. Perfect. That's your expert in that. And then now how can we either get them to show somebody else to duplicate that process or keep them doing that?
You know, it's interesting, like everything we're talking about, no matter whether it's marketing or operations based right now, it all roots down into what I would consider the main pain point of growing or trying to achieve a goal by the end of the year, a vision that you pulled for yourself, right? Do you need the right people or do you need more people, right? Do I need a process or does the process I have in place work? What's my capacity? The answer is that in reality, only the CEO, founder, business owner, and management team should be the most aware of what that answer is, and it's going to be nuanced and different for it might be 2 out of 3 of bullets, right? It might be your process and the type of people you have in place, or it might be people in capacity, or it might be process in capacity. Who knows? You should know. And what I am normally hearing is that business owners are trying to do everything themselves, all the tasks into running the business. There's not enough capacity or bandwidth in their brain to be able to know their people, like Destiny is talking about, know the strengths or build the trust and build the empowerment. So that's normally the piece we're seeing miss, right? Like, we know your business is your baby. That's the goal. You're the one building it from scratch. You're the one investing in it or started it from day one. I'm not sure how many people you can say were there at day one in your business outside of yourself, right? But everybody should have a purpose and they should know how to help you achieve that goal because you've empowered and trusted them through it. And you've been able to distill the information from your brain down to how they can impact achieving that goal ultimately.
That's completely correct. And I think business owners and founders need to make sure that their goal setting, it's usually when you set a goal, it tends to feel like safer, but when you're planning for it, it tends to feel safer because you think it's controllable. And you have to take in consideration other facts that sometimes when you have that great idea, you're like, oh my God, yes, I have this idea. You meet with your teammate and you're like, I want to get this idea done by Q2. And I would say, to add to that, it's, for example, like Krista mentioned before, we have clients that we already know what their high season is going to be and what their low season are going to be. And when the low season comes, they come to us and they're like, stop marketing, stop everything. Let's meet next year. And I understand that because like Krista mentioned, I am very aware of protecting my client's pocket. I don't want to break the bank. I don't want to break their pockets. But at the same time, coming back to the married couple metaphor, you have to maintain a relationship with algorithm. Algorithm changes every single day. So what happens if you stop everything, all the efforts on getting to that goal, to any of the goals that you have in your business by the end of the year? What's going to happen? The algorithm is going to forget you and you're going to have to start completely over. So going back to that married couple, imagine being married for, let's say, instead of 6 months, the reality of high season, 6 months, it's 6 years. And then you stop dating. You stop going out on dates. What's going to happen? That love is going to fall apart. So it's the same with algorithm. And I love the metaphor of that married couple because, yes, when you're married, you need to go out on dates. You need to nourish that relationship. It's the same with the algorithm on any single platform. And it needs to be ongoing. It cannot just stop for 6 months and then I'll see you in 6 months. See you later. And then expect us to bring that momentum that we already had in just 1 week. Let's bring that momentum back. It's not achievable. It's not achievable. And I always tell them that, and it's something that they don't like, but it's not.
It can be like clawing your way back to life at that point. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I feel like I feel like I can already hear like the groaning on the other side of the screens right now of people being like, oh, I don't want to make content 3 times a day. And like, they don't. And we hear you. You don't have to. And I think Stephanie could probably attest to what I'm about to say. Like, the thing that I feel like saved Iris's marketing, because I think all of us felt the same way. All of us were like, are you kidding me? I've got to record another reel. Go dedicate a 3-hour morning or an hour and a half morning. Go invest yourself in some brand photography and videography. I cannot recommend it enough. Use it the entire year. If you have a good marketing team, they will be able to help you parse that out through the year. But if you guys just can't stand when your marketing manager walks in the room to capture some new content and groans just roll throughout the office, or you don't want to record yourself, you're tired of putting yourself on the screen, get something that you're really happy with and you're really proud of and use that. Lean into it, because I feel like that used to be a hiccup for our team, at least a lot. And the second we started doing that on an annual basis, it was like everything shifted. You know, it was a lot easier to put out what we wanted to put out and not just, here you go. Hope you can do this, something with this, right? Like from an organic perspective.
Yeah, totally. I mean, now that we have these branding sessions every year, you are seeing not only who we are, which is great, but we're also able to keep it on brand and consistent. I think that's the biggest thing. Is if you look at our social media, it is very consistent with what the previous posts have been. And so even like our wording, our voice is very like pared down to exactly how we want to be put out there. And that's for any brand, any business is super important, so people know who you are and what to expect.
Yeah. We're coming up on around the 15-minute mark of the time that we have left. And so don't think we said in the beginning. So if you're tuning in with us, please feel free to drop some questions and comments. We'd be happy to answer them as they come in. But in the meantime, I feel like it's important for us to recap point A to point B of what we're talking about, right? So again, point A is business owners are the best at it. Setting vision and saying, this is what's going to make me feel successful at the end of 2026, right? I'm not calling anybody out, because I'm just going to go ahead and admit right now that I did it to everybody sitting here with me. Like, I was like, I have this goal. This is the goal and we're going to do it. Right. So we're setting the goal, and the ultimate, what we're trying to mitigate here is by the end of March, feeling like, what was that goal again? And where are we at in trying to achieve it? Because it's feeling really tough to do this business owner life right now, right? And how to make it feel like we can actually execute to make it happen. Step 2, set goals within your goal. So if you haven't looked at what we love is a Gantt chart, if you haven't started that process, now is the time. My assumption is that most business owners around the end of January have made their vision board, and they've got it sitting in front of them in some way, shape, or form where they work. And step 2 is a Gantt chart to support your vision board, right? I love a Gantt chart, whether it's marketing-based, operations-based, or both. You can make everything work really strategically together, and it gives you a beautiful visual diagram of how we're going to get to the vision board endpoint, right? Some questions I would ask while you're making that Gantt chart is, how do I know if the goal is realistic and achievable? Well, what's your capacity, and do you have the process in place? And if you don't, these are the missing pieces. So within that, in that campaign or in that strategy, you now have to start asking yourself, what do I need to make or create, or who do I need to make this campaign possible, right? So
and I think
go ahead.
I think being very realistic with yourself on these numbers and statistics is incredibly important. We can say we can work 120 hours a week, but can we really?
No, no, we can't. No. Are you kidding? I'd be asleep. I would be asleep for 7 days if I worked 120 hours one week. So, but yeah, absolutely. And as you're approaching, whether it's a marketing campaign or you're approaching a new operation strategy, a new offer that you're putting out there, pressure test it. Go ahead and prepare for the fact that the first 2 to 4 weeks are going to be the hardest part of launching that, right? And your analytics, your KPIs will tell you if it's moving successfully, right? Step 3 of this is coming off of step 2, right? So if you have looked in how am I going to make this possible, it's people, process, capacity. You need to assess that. And if it's not in place, put a plan to put it in place, a plan within a plan, right? So the uncomfortable portion of this section is you need to have a grasp of how your business is performing and what is realistic financially to do this. Process is something that we all can create, right? We talked about AI momentarily. AI is great about helping about putting SOPs in place, once you give it some context to help you with that. But additional people or additional skill sets or expertise or somebody that no matter what way you slice it, freelancer, agency, W-2 costs money, right? So heading into 2026, depending on how big of goals you have for the end of the year, I would have a really good grasp on how you're going to generate revenue to support the goals, because inevitably if you're putting new offers out there and you're putting new goals out there, you got to be able to financially support it, right? So it's my disclaimer. I think anybody you talk to that worked with me in any capacity will probably say, I'm always going to ask the uncomfortable question of what's the budget, So if you don't know your budget, I'm already going to start saying, have you looked at your finances, right? So that would be step 3. And then step 4, we all can talk about here. And that's how to make sure that your marketing and your operations are absolutely aligned, right? We touched on it earlier, but there's a level of trust that you need to build with your end customer, whether that's a B2B or a B2C. And it's aligning how you speak about your product in a live conversation and how your marketing is talking about your product or your service, how your website's talking about your product, how your competitors talking about it, right? Is it going to make sense, or is the general audience going to look at you and say, what the heck did you just try to offer me? I have no idea. Been there before too. Not knowing.
I was going to say,
question. I love when Stephanie talks about this. Like, can you talk about what you offer within 90 to 120 seconds? Like an elevator pitch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you're putting out there, I think, obviously, going back to marketing a little bit on the organic side, that what you put on let's say the reel that you're posting, does the caption make sense with it? That sometimes people will throw up a reel that doesn't align with their business at all. And then you go, like, someone clicks through and goes to your website. Is that making sense with what they just saw on social media? And then if they join your newsletter, which, let's be real, that's what we really want when it comes to marketing, is we want to have that on the organic side. Is what you're putting out through email, is that aligning with the other 2 things? So it all has to make sense with each other. And then adding on paids, is your paid ads making sense with all of those other things. So it's showing your true self of your business through all these items, and they all have to make sense with each other.
Yeah. There's nothing that makes my skin crawl more than when you have like, you see a great post from a business and then a very clearly AI generated caption that makes zero sense, right? And it's like not even how people talk day to day, you know? And there are things we say, there are things we don't say, and it's just it's rough when I feel like we also talk a lot to people about, doesn't AI make this faster? Yes and no.
Oh, we get that question. Well, it's not an even question. It's a suggestion. They're like, oh, you can use AI and do it real quick, right? And I'm like, okay, no. Let's stop right here because no, I'm not going to let Uncle Chat do my work, okay?
Uncle Chat. Oh, love him. Yeah, you know, and it's interesting. The clients I've worked in, they're in a HR capacity, they're in tech capacity. And the one thing that I consistently see about AI, no matter the industry, and I'm curious if you guys have heard it around your clients and work too, is like there is nothing right now that AI can replace in terms of human context and human recognition, right? Like it's a great tool, but it cannot replace your human brain and your human reasoning. And like the more business owners just keep throwing stuff to AI and throwing it back, the more I feel like the messier it gets, you know, because like we have to validate it. We have to validate what it's spitting out to us.
Agreed. Agreed. I feel like you can just see when I've had it where a client has sent me something and I know that it was generated straight from my ad because I'm like, I don't talk like that. I know you don't talk like that. So, and then having to like reframe it and reword it in everyday terms that we use either in their business or in our business or whatever. I think it's really interesting though how things are going that way.
I would say probably there's not one of us here that says we don't use some type of AI tool. But again, it is a tool and we go through and refine it and make it something that is actually tangible. What Uncle Chat spits out at you is not the end result.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Get off my soapbox. I could talk about AI all day. Maybe we need to do an AI webinar. I think that's
I was thinking that a minute ago. I was like, we should talk about how like business owners comes to us and say, just do it with AI. Yeah, that would be a good topic.
AI.
Let me write it down real quick.
It could be because we have a lot of experience in the different AI tools too. And like, you know, what's good at what and what isn't. So maybe let us know if that's like a topic of interest because I think we could rant about it all day long. All right. So step 4, like we're talking about operations, marketing, they've got to align. One thing I would personally suss out a little bit is, are we aligned or are we just active? And as the business owner, do you consistently talk about what you're building toward? You envisioned the goal, and are you mentioning it? Are you staying in touch with your team members? Make my skin crawl if we say we don't have time to meet for an hour a week with the main team members that you have, right? Because I promise you do. And that is the second your business is going to start feeling chaotic because you're not keeping open communication there at the forefront with your team and keeping them focused on what you're focused on, right? So nothing can replace aligning the team that you have at your fingertips with yourself and with each other and making sure they know the role they play in the business succeeding, right? And I think that like these are the steps to make it happen that we would suggest. At least it's what we would do if we were entering into a business that gave us their 2026 goal. But I think a lot of people, and we only have like 5 minutes left, but a lot of people would come to us and say like, is it working? what do you guys think? Are we moving in the right direction? And if like a lot of people do ask us that, right? About 3 or 4 months into their partnership with one of us, they're like, so tell me, how's it going? Right? And so that's KPI and feeling based again. It's a little different for all of us in what our areas of ownership are. For me, as somebody that's like highly project management based and operation based, I'm going to look at, is the owner still making all the decisions and being responsible for everything moving forward? It's not working, you know, because like it's just not feasible to grow a business with that alone. How are our teams feeling? I would even start to look at what our retention is on the team, like from an HR perspective. Is your team invested in the business? Is the team clear, and is the owner clear? Sometimes I have to ask myself, is my client clear on what they are focused on this week, right? Do they know what they need to do for us all to achieve the goal? So those are some of the things that I look at to consider from an operational project management standpoint. Is this working? Do we know the steps from point A to point B? Do we have everything in place? And how is our team and company moving forward together? I try to look at more of like a bird's eye perspective and look down into the company.
Yeah, I think from marketing perspective, we're looking at the numbers. What are the analytics telling us? We're not going to look, a week out. More than likely, we're probably going to look at the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days to make sure that this is working. And if the numbers are not showing that, then we adjust some things. We don't do like a whole revamp, because then we're going to have to start over from zero. With that, and then also, how is the business owner feeling about what they're putting out? Is that still consistent? Are they still able to keep up with the amount that is projected to go out each week or month? So I think those kind of touch points are really important.
Yeah. Jen, what about you from a paid side? How do we know it's working?
So I always look at conversions, how many leads come in. I always say, because clients said, oh, I need more work. I need more clients. And here's the thing. I can assure you a certain percentage of traffic to your website, of leads to you. I cannot tell you that every single lead that comes to you, it's going to be a conversion. And I will not put my hands on the fire for that. Why? Because algorithm, paid ads, all the other platforms that are not paying us to promote them, but any single platform would change algorithm like every single second. It is not planned out. Sometimes you're really popular and you're ranking number 1 on Google, and suddenly the next day you're number 30. So that is something that I am very clear with owners. I am going to work your paid ads. I am going to connect your SEO and everything together. But I cannot tell you, oh, this week you're going to have 50 new projects. This week you're going to have 20 new forms filled out. I cannot give you an exact number. Even any other platform, when you go into a social media platform and you do paid ads, they tell you an approximate amount of reach. Or approximate amount of clicks. They don't tell you, oh, you're going to get this amount of sales from it. No, they're not going to say that, because then you're going to be asking for a refund because they didn't do what they're supposed to. So we are a tool to help you reach your goals. And by reach means that everybody is going to know what your business is, what you do, what you offer. But we cannot tell you, oh, you're going to get this amount of projects in this week or this month or this quarter, because that is not going to be realistic. And as I always tell my client, whoever tells you that they can get you 20 leads in 1 week or 20 projects signed in leads, don't trust them, because
Run away.
run away because it's not realistic.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, it's tough because like a lot of what we've talked about today, as we kind of started today's episode anyway, it's all a little nuanced, and it's nuanced compared to what industry you're in, what phase of life the business is in, what you're experiencing today. So a roadmap isn't going to be a list of initiatives that we can X, Y, and Z to you right here, right now. But hopefully this helps get you from I can see what I want and how do I get there, right? So if you are looking to talk about it a little bit further, we're always open to chat. There's a number of ways you can reach us. But this wraps up today's conversation. We're going to start by doing this once a month. So we hope to see you in February. Maybe we'll cover AI. We'll find out. But give us a follow, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks, everybody.